Today we got for you the number one seed Vegas Golden Knights against the wild card Winnipeg Jets. Now, the Golden Knights this year, they really bounced back. This is a team that missed the playoffs last year. They let everyone down. Everyone thought they were going to win the division last year, and they laid an egg. But you know what? They're back with a vengeance this year, and they're doing it without some key players, which has really impressed me. They've been out without Mark Stone for most of this year, and then lots of injuries to various players throughout the season. And then you got the Winnipeg Jets. They came out of the gate hot. This team was unbelievable to start this year. At one point, they even led the division and were a number one seed, but unfortunately in the second half, they fell off, but just barely managed to hold off the Nashville Predators and the Calgary Flames to be in this playoff spot.
Yeah, Winnipeg, on paper, before the season started, I thought they would have done way better than they did this year, but it's good that they made the playoffs. I mean, with that top six, you should be making the playoffs. But I have to admit that a lot of these players are having down years. They should be playing better. The Vegas Golden Knights side is very interesting. They're a good team. It's good to see them in the playoffs again after a year not making it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we're going to give you guys a bit of a preview today. We're going to go over these teams' offense, the defense, goaltending, special teams, some key X factors to win this series, and then finally our prediction on how this series will go. And we're going to start off with the offense here. I'm just going to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights for a second. This team kind of has a bit of a weird offense without Mark Stone. It looks a little janky. I mean, they got Jack Eichel, their number one player, points per game wise and points wise this year. Really solid bounce back year for Jack Eichel, coming back from that back injury and kind of not playing very much last year. He looked really good for the most part. I mean, this guy is still a second overall player, and he still has a lot of offensive pop to his game. When you look down the line, you still got the three guys who started with Vegas: Marchessault, Riley Smith, and William Karlsson. Not the best year for William Karlsson, kind of meh. Marchessault was pretty solid, barring some injuries. And Riley Smith, he was also fighting the injury bug. This team had some bad luck this year. And then down the lineup, you got some guys like Michael Amadio, Nicholas Waugh, some depth players that really kind of actually had really solid seasons. Like some of them scoring 15, 20 goals, for Amadio. It was really impressive. And this is definitely a team that relies on their offense as a whole and not necessarily a couple guys to get it done.
Yeah, for the Winnipeg side, they have a lot of good weapons. In my opinion, their top-end weapon is better than the Vegas Golden Knights' top-end weapon. And they have, starting with Kyle Connor, who had 80 points. Crazy. They have Mark Scheifele, true number one center in this league. I know he had a kind of a down year in terms of point production, but we all know what this guy can really do when push comes to shove. They have Blake Wheeler, kind of a big power forward that they have there, but the thing is he hasn't really played as well as I thought that he would either. Hopefully he picks up his game. Cole Perfetti, a young rookie. Unfortunately he's kind of injured, but it would be nice if they had him. And then down the line, they could have Adam Lowry, who's a very good third-line center.
Really big year, low-key.
Really big year. I know he's not on that top 7 scoreboard that you see in the graphics there, but he is just right under that last player there. At the addition, Nino Niederreiter actually kind of helped them in terms of point production. They got Appleton down there, who I actually always liked Appleton, actually. And Stentland they got from Columbus. Yeah, a pretty decent offense that they have there. Would it match the Vegas Golden Knights? I'm not too sure about that. I think they're pretty evenly matched overall.
Yeah, I'd say the offenses are pretty on par with each other. I would give a slight edge, actually, probably to Winnipeg. They got a little bit more star power there. They got guys like Scheifele and Connor who can both score 40 goals. I mean, we've seen it now from these guys before in the past. Pierre-Luc Dubois had a really surprisingly good season. Actually, technically, point per game wise, better than Scheifele, which was shocking. I thought this guy was packing it in, waiting to get traded in the offseason to Montreal. But no, he brought it. And it's sad Perfetti's not going to be there for this team, but I would give the slight offensive edge overall, at least, to Winnipeg.
Now moving on to the defense side. What do you think about Vegas' defense?
This is where I'm going to say right away I'm going to have to give the edge to Vegas. Vegas' defense is one of the reasons that I think this team is the number one seed in their division. Vegas is unreal defensively, between having guys like Shea Theodore, Alex Pietrangelo, Brendan McNabb, and very, very unheralded guy, Alex Martinez. This guy leads the league in block shots by so many. I think he's ahead by like 47 over second place. Like, this guy is a block party, man. Like, it's unreal what he does. This guy has no fear. He'll lie down in front of a lane. Like, it's just crazy. And it's why this team is actually such a solid competitive team like this year. Because, I mean, this core four right there is just unreal. And then they got guys down the line who plug and play. Guys like even like White Cloud when he's playing is really solid. I mean, I just think overall this Vegas unit is quite formidable.
Yeah, it's not comparable. I think I have to agree. The Vegas defense core is a lot better in my opinion. With the Winnipeg side, starting obviously with Josh Morrissey, he had a career year, a very good year. Although there was a part of the season where he really tailed off and looked like the Josh Morrissey I remember from last year, where he really got no points. So we'll see which Josh Morrissey comes out to fruition in the playoffs. But Josh Morrissey is a big factor there. They have Neil Pionk, who I think had a huge decline year this year compared to last year. He's every time I watch his games, it hasn't looked good under his new coach. Always a negative player. And then they have other guys like Brendan Dillon, who's okay, and then Nate Schmidt. And Nate Schmidt's gonna be an interesting one. He used to play for Vegas, and he was not happy when he got traded out of Vegas. I remember that. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is gonna be his revenge tour against that team. So we'll see how he plays against this team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Winnipeg's top four. I mean, all those guys are pretty good. Didn't really have the best season for Pionk, like Hohen said. He played better down the stretch, though. Morrissey, just absolutely fantastic this year. Actually, true star right now this year. Should have been actually one of the Norris nominees. Just missed it looks like. But, I mean, this guy can really take over a power play. Good quarterback there. And then, guys like Brendan Dillon, very physical. They do add something, but just not the same as the guys on the Vegas side.
And our two players I forgot to mention. They got Logan Stanley as well, a big guy back there. And then they also have DeMello, who has proven in the past that he can shut down Connor McDavid. So, the defense core is all right as a unit, but to me, it doesn't match the Shea Theodore, it doesn't match the Petrangelos. It just doesn't match those players at all.
Yeah. Moving on to our goaltending battle here. Now, this is where things get interesting. We got a bit of a storyline here. On one side, we got Connor Hellebuyck, goaltender. We've seen this guy win a Vezina before. He had a really solid first half of the year. Kind of struggled a bit in the second half, but he really turned it on when it mattered, when they needed a couple wins down the stretch, and ended up locking up that playoff spot. And on the Vegas side, the revenge narrative here, we got Laurent Brossoit, the old backup goalie for the Winnipeg Jets, now turned Vegas Golden Knight. He has actually not lost a game for Vegas all year in regulation. Just really solid numbers right now, over a .920 save percentage. This could be interesting. Yeah, it could be very interesting. In one way, it could be a huge comeback, revenge tour for Laurent Brossoit, or those guys know how to score on this guy because he practiced on this guy for many years. So you got one way or the other. But when you look at Connor Hellebuyck, he's a proven goaltender. You know what to. I've seen this guy shut down my Edmonton Oilers in that play-in series in the a couple years ago. So I've seen how good this goalie can be when he turns it up. Yeah, we got to give the edge here. I mean, obviously because of experience, you got to give it to Connor Hellebuyck, and the Jets have the advantage in this category for sure. Now for the special teams, as you can see on the charts there, the only thing that's really noticeable about these two teams is that they're kind of in the bottom in everything, with the exception of Winnipeg is number 5 out of these 16 teams in penalty kill, which is actually pretty impressive. So that one shocked me. So it just shows that this team is pretty good at penalty killing. As you can see, Vegas is not that high in the power play. So it's going to be I feel like that's going to be one of the X factors in this series, is that Winnipeg can kill penalties. Yeah, that could be big. I mean, these teams like Vegas kind of struggle to score goals sometimes. They get pretty dry. We've seen it in past playoff runs where this team will go like games where they have 1 goal, 2 goals tops, and they just really struggle to get the offensive going. And if Winnipeg is really solid on their penalty kill, that might be the difference in this series. You never know. Yep. All right, now let's pick an X factor from each team. Alrighty, let's start off with the Vegas Golden Knights. And for me, my X factor has got to be Jack Eichel. I mean, we're talking about a player who has not played a single NHL playoff game, and he's played almost 500 career games. That's wild to me. That is a long time to go without being in the playoffs. I think this guy is going to be the major difference on if this team advances or if they lose in this round. He's going to have to put up a big series. I mean, this is a guy who was brought in to put up big numbers, to be higher than a point per game player, to be that second overall player he was when he was drafted, and I think he's up for the task. Yeah, my X Factor pick will be Laurent Brossoit for the Vegas Golden Knights side anyways.
you need the goalie to win, and we'll see what happens. Whether he'll leak in a lot of goals because these guys know how to score on him because this used to be his former team, or this guy will be pissed off that he got moved or got moved to this team, and I don't know why he'll be mad playing for Vegas though. So yeah.
My X factor for the Jets is going to have to be Pierre-Luc Dubois. I mean, this role being the second line center after Scheifele, it's an important one. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's going to have to be on there for a lot of faceoffs. He's going to be the guy in key situations to take a faceoff unless Lowry's on there. But, I mean, Pierre-Luc Dubois had a really good year. I need to see him show that he can do it in the playoffs. And he has that big body, tall guy that you really think can succeed in the playoffs. And I think that's going to be the big difference for this team if he gets going or not.
My X factor for the Winnipeg Jets would definitely be Blake Wheeler. I mean, this guy all year round to me has not lived up to expectation. He hasn't looked good to me, anyways. What happened to those years where he was getting 90 points? Like I missed that Blake Wheeler where he was dynamic, where he was powerful. I haven't seen that lately. I haven't seen that this year, and he needs to show that, at least a glimpse of that this year in the playoffs.
Yeah, so I guess that leaves us with just one thing. We got to make our prediction of how we expect this match to go. And I'm going to start off, and I'm going to say this is a really tough one. One of the hard ones to call for sure. I think these teams, even though one's a wild card and one is a number 1 seed, I think this is really close. And I'm going to say, I thought about this all day. I'm going to say the Vegas Golden Knights win in 7. I think this will be a very, very long, tight, close series, but I just can't fully give it to Winnipeg as much as I was close to.
I am actually going to give this series to the Winnipeg Jets in 7 games. This is going to be a tough series, two very good teams. Why I'm going to pick Winnipeg over Vegas is because the best player on Vegas right now, which is Jack Eichel, this is his first playoff game. I have not seen this guy. He is not playoff tested. He doesn't know what it's like to play in a tight checking game in the playoffs. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl experienced that in the playing round against this team. This team can make other teams suffer, give very little room to the opponent. So I'm going to pick Winnipeg.
That's fair. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that concludes our episode for this preview, and we'll see you in our next one. Till then, take care.
Take care, guys. Bye.